There's something insanely funny to me that this video is going to be called Disney Cars Johnny Review. This guy's name is Johnny, nothing more, nothing less. That's all, just Johnny. He doesn't even have a last name. I've said before that I don't think every single Cars character needs to have some sort of pun name. You know, it's fine if sometimes we just give them regular names. But the least you could do is give this poor guy a last name. He's just Johnny. He's just an insanely common, regular name, no last name. That's it. This is Johnny. And the funny thing about it is that this is easily one of the most obscure characters we've ever gotten in the Cars diecast line. For years, I had no clue where this guy showed up in the movie. Johnny and his friend Jamie, who also has no last name and is just a very common, regular old name, are super, super obscure characters. I remember when the original Meet the Cars first came out and I got it, I knew all the characters in the book from watching the movie, except Johnny and Jamie. I had no clue where they were, no way to identify them. I had no idea who these guys were. They are race fans in the Piston Cup, according to the book, who are known to goof off and pull pranks. When Johnny and Jamie were young, they spent more time goofing off at the race than watching it. They've grown up a little since then. Now they know that it's silly to waste race time playing pranks and getting into trouble. That's why they now show up early to play pranks and get into trouble. The thing is, as you can see, we have the two of them there, and they're both drooling. Gross. Come on, guys. Hygiene, please. Johnny and Jamie are here in the movie. There they are. Right there. Insanely obscure, barely visible. If you didn't have the Car Finder game that lets you single them out and identify them, I highly doubt you ever would have noticed these two characters. The fact that they got die-cast is absolutely crazy. The fact that Meet the Cars and Car Finder highlighted them, absolutely crazy. Such obscure characters, and honestly, for such obscure, regular-looking characters, their diecasts aren't doing them any favors to help them stand out a bit more. Johnny and Jamie were paired up in both Meet the Cars and Car Finder, but for some reason, when their diecasts came out in 2010, they were both released as singles in the Final Lap line. Yes, they were singles one number apart, but singles nonetheless. Characters like this definitely should be packed together, and I know in 2010 we weren't really getting new releases in 2-packs, but still, it is odd to see them separate. Also odd is the fact that the diecasts aren't drooling. The one thing that makes them visually identifiable in the movie is the fact that they're both drooling off the balcony, trying to, spit on people. Gross, guys. Come on, do better. Grow up. And not only are they not doing that on the artwork, neither of them are doing that on the diecast itself. And I know it's insanely weird, and I've gotten several comments joking about the fact that in my haul video I said, why aren't the diecasts drooling? And I know that's a super weird thing to ask for, obviously, and it's really funny out of context. But genuinely, Johnny and Jamie's diecast should have had a little plastic bead of saliva coming out of their mouths. Just, to help make them a bit more distinct. But for what it's worth, we have Johnny and Jamie as separate singles here. Very normal looking cars with just an insane amount of weird backstory behind them. I truly believe these are two of the most obscure Cars characters we've ever received merchandise for. Anyway, guys, welcome back to another review, and to another review of an item that I got back for Christmas. We're almost at the end of the Christmas haul. Today, we're going to be taking a look at Johnny here, part of the Final Lap collection. When I asked my parents for Johnny and Jamie for Christmas, I specifically said, if you're going to get one, make sure you get both, please. And they did. They got me both Johnny and Jamie, because to me, it would be so weird and kind of pointless to have one but not the other. I almost considered reviewing these two together in one video. Obviously, that was not the case. When I put up my poll for what review I should do, I did list them separately, and of course, Johnny here one, so we'll be taking a look at Jamie at a later date. But yeah, I always review cars that are singles on their own, but I almost broke my rule because Johnny and Jamie are so linked. I find it weird that they're singles, but whatever. Johnny, of course, part of the Final Lap collection. If you want to pick this item up, he and Jamie are both really, really cheap online, which is interesting. Some Final Lap items that are background characters are really cheap, and then others like Swift Alternator are really expensive. Got some nice artwork of Johnny here, even though he isn't spitting. Number 145 in the line. That very cool, shiny Dexter Hoover logo with the white flag denoting that it's the last lap. We got your old plastic hook, which is movable there. Complete your collection. Collect these and more. It's the final lap and a race to the finish. Collect 40 new characters from the Cars movie, but don't speed by any classics you missed the first time around. I really like that they had a checklist of names on the back of these. It is nicer to have images of the characters, but checklist of names complete with the squares for you to check off is really cool. Skip Richter, Muddy McQueen, Donna Pitts, Polly Puddlejumper, Costanza Della Corza, Nick Stickers, Jay Limo, Blowing Bubbles Mater, Pick Crew Member Sarge, Wet Lightning McQueen, Race Damage Moose. Yeah, I'm sure all of us are going to check off that one. Antonio Veloce, Excellente, One Eye Mater, and Vern. I do have quite a few of these. If you guys have been following the channel for a long time, you'll know that I wasn't collecting cars when the Final Lap collection was coming out. It was a Target exclusive. I don't think I knew that at the time. The only cars I was buying around then were Cars Tunes items. So it took me until just a few years ago to unbox my first ever Final Lap diecast. And since then, I've gotten quite a few. But most items from this line I've gotten through re-releases. I do have Skip Richter. Donna Pitts got through a re-release. Costanza I actually got in the same Christmas haul as Johnny and Jamie. He is yet to be reviewed. Nick Stickers got through a re-release, same with Blowing Bubbles Meter. Literally just got Pit Crew Member Sarge back in April for his 2025 re-release. Antonio Veloce Excellente, One Eye Mater, and Vern, all items I picked up from re-releases. So, yeah, a lot of cars from Final Lap have come back, but also a surprisingly high number of them haven't. The one that always comes to my mind is Polly Puddlejumper, another kind of background character, but with how many race fans we get, I'm surprised she hasn't returned. Same with some of the character variants. Muddy McQueen has been one of my most wanted Cars diecasts for a very long time, and he is a pretty rare one. I'd love to see him return at some point. Anyway, here is our old pal Johnny. Johnny, no last name, out of the package. And what a guy he is. Start off by saying that if he looks familiar to you, it's because he is, I believe, an exact reuse of the model of Big Fan, another Cars diecast whose name is insanely lazy. I believe they are pretty much the exact same. Of course, Big Fan does have a different mouth plate with the teeth and the flag and all that. But yeah, Johnny is, I believe, the same model here. Johnny is, in my opinion, an example of one of those Cars 1 background characters that's really exaggerated in terms of proportion. Something interesting that they did in the first Cars movie that didn't carry over for the rest of the franchise was make, like, incidentals, super obscure background characters that were just kind of exaggerated and not very realistic proportioned cars. Something that isn't done in the series nowadays, but was done in Cars 1. And we've seen that captured on the diecast line a few times over the years with characters like, I'd say, Keith Cone is an example of one of those more cartoony-shaped cars. And Johnny here is, I believe, another example of that. I've never seen a car in real life that's so oblong in the front compared to the rest. Honestly, look, if I were to cover this part, and the wheel, he just looked like a regular small car, like a Bertha Butterswagen type vehicle. Bertha, I'd say, is also kind of an exaggerated cartoony shape, but still, he'd look like kind of a regular small car, right? Surprise! He's just super long in the front. Well, I think it looks just fine on the artwork here, on the character in the movie. It just looks really funny in diecast form. I don't know why I find it so funny. It's just such a strange shape. There he is. Look at his smug grin. This is the type of guy he's gonna drool off the side of my shelf. How could you, Johnny, from the first Cars movie? Why does he have different wheels? Look at that. His front wheels and back wheels have slightly different hubcaps, which is strange. And not... Oh, his hubcaps are completely inaccurate. Interesting. What is going on with that? Wait a minute. What is going on with that? Oh, okay. I think mine's an error. Interesting. All right, look at that. So, 3 of his hubcaps look like this, and then on this one, it looks like they messed up with the painting of it, and colored this part that's supposed to be silver and black. That is insanely interesting. Is this a one-off error on mine? Let me know in the comments if you have this diecast. Does he look like this, or do I have a weird one-of-a-kind quality control error? I wonder. Wow, that is honestly pretty cool, because it's such an obscure random item from 2010. Who knew? Wow. Huh. Anyway, his license plate on the back here reads SL119. He is from Dipstick. Pretty fitting for a guy like Johnny who spends his days drooling off the sides of buildings. There's a look at the other side. And finally, there is a look at the base. There you have it, guys. This has been Johnny. Just Johnny. Nothing else. A pretty fun background character from the first Cars movie, who's pretty cheap online still to this day, has a really strange backstory as a character, and most importantly, is not spitting. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Hopefully it's not too long until we take a look at Jamie. Those two deserve to be together forever. Bye now.